What's up, guys? Welcome back to another HERR Lounge podcast. I'm always in a rush, so sorry, guys.
It's like eating. ASMR every time we start.
It's like eat, hurry up, workout, hurry up, everything's hurry up. Friendly reminder, this podcast is brought to you by HERR Apparel. Guys, don't forget to use Thanks15 for the next couple of months. As I start to bring in the fall inventory, I want to keep that up. There is that is not an expired, I guess, promo code. So use it. Help me get rid of some of this stuff. It's a discount on what things that usually would not be. Mm-hmm. So use it, and don't forget to shop. And thank you guys for also being podcast listeners and to my patrons. We've gotten a few of you guys to sign up. So welcome. And I'm excited to have you guys on. And I can't wait until my HERR community really just starts to expand. And I'm going to take this time while I'm out of town to kind of sit there and marinate on things that I'm going to start putting on the HERR community.
Patreon?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And sign up for the newsletter. I've seen people that have signed up for it, which is cool. So your website is marisolherrera.com.
Yes.
Similar to chingobling.com. If you want to sign up for the newsletters to keep up to date if you're not already in the Patreon. And if you are, then fantastic. You know everything that's going on.
Exactly. And they are written by me, guys. They're not written by Rob. No. So before y'all think like Rob is doing everything, he does do the podcast. I'm not going to lie. Those are his reels. But I'm usually the one that replies. And, I try to get back to the comments and so forth.
Yeah,
so,
all the messages and engagement. That's Marisol.
Yeah. And before we get started, you guys know I like to kick it off with a positive quote. And I kind of wanted to do this because I turned 40 this week.
Dun, dun, dun.
When this episode actually drops, I turned 40. It's my 40th birthday on the 8th.
Oh, yeah.
So happy birthday to me when y'all hear this message. This episode.
Well, this one will be Wednesday's episode. So our premium one will land on your birthday.
Oh.
The one after this.
My birthday's on Friday?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was Wednesday.
The 8th. Today's the 4th. Man, girl.
Oh, man. Bro. All right. Rewind that. Not everyone will understand your journey. That's okay. You're here to live your life, not to make everyone understand. And sadly, it's taken me this entire time to really kind of back that up, if that makes sense.
I feel like you've been thinking about this for a little while.
Yeah, like it's taken me up until the age of 40 to not care if someone just doesn't get me or doesn't feel me, doesn't want to vibe with me. And I hate that. Like, I've always have had that I don't care attitude, but deep down inside it bothered me. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
It really bothered me. And then as here lately, I just, the last couple of 2 years, I guess, the last 2 years, I've been caring less and less and less. And I've just kind of been like, this is me and this is who I am and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, the last 2 years and then especially the last 12 months.
Yeah. Is
really helping people just, all right.
Yeah, I'm just not, I don't really care anymore. It's just one of those things. Funny thing, this is what made me talk about this today on the episode or whatever, is we took Penny for the first time to Chuck E. Cheese. All right.
I saw that. I was jealous. I've never even been to Chuck E. Cheese.
Really?
No.
Never?
No.
What? Okay, Rob. So for me, I grew up going to Showbiz Pizza, which is what Chuck E. Cheese used to be.
Really? I've never even heard that name.
Oh, Rob, that's because you're not 40. But for those of you listening and y'all remember Showbiz Pizza, I went there and I was really sad that they no longer give you tickets. So now it stays on a card. You no longer use tokens. It's a card that you recharge, right? And for me, it was like the excitement of putting in the $20 bill, the $5 bill, getting all the coins. And now you just don't know where you're going to go use it, And then the tickets, counting all the tickets and taking them up to the desk and, knowing, already counting them yourself, right? Or they put them in through the machine that counted them for you. And you already kind of had an idea of what you wanted there. So you'd keep playing games so that you have enough tickets to get whatever it is that you were wanting. And I hate that Penny didn't have that experience. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit, it's so modern. And also the games are just not as cool. We used to have some cool games. Like now, instead of using the thing that hit the alligator's mouth that would open like this, right? Now it's their little hands. So it's, you use your hands and it's like squirrels or something that comes up, you know? They don't have a ball pin thing anymore that you can jump in and play anymore. And I get it. It's because of probably COVID. And I don't know that another Chuck E. Cheese may still have that, but it's not there. And I just remember, and it didn't look like it ever had one, if that makes sense. So I was just like looking around and I was like, I'm so glad I was not born in this era or any era, or the last 10 years.
I agree.
I'm so happy I grew up in the 80s. I'm so happy I lived through the 90s. And I think for me, even in the 2000s, as things started to change and internet and, social media started happening, it took me a long time to switch over to Facebook. I was on MySpace,
From MySpace? Okay.
For the longest. And I remember everybody was on Facebook and everybody would make fun of me because I'd be like, why would I switch over to Facebook? I can't even have a cute profile with little GIFs that are popping up. I was like, Facebook is so boring. You know what I'm saying? I just don't want it. And I remember when I created my account for the first time, it's kind of like, how I am about technology and just something new to learn, I was just like, this is just not, this is not fun. Facebook is not fun. All you do is post on here. You can't even I don't know. It was just really cool to get, what is the little code that you put in the
QR code?
No. The code that you get to put a cool background. The embedded.
Oh, yeah. The code.
Yes.
On your MySpace?
On your MySpace,
that was fun, yeah.
So it was when
some people right now listening might not know what that is. You might have some young ladies listening to this.
Guys, look at MySpace because I think Justin Timberlake bought it or something, and he owns MySpace.
A while back, it turned to a music platform, right?
Something, I don't know, but look it up, and it's crazy.
I tried logging into MySpace as if it would still work with my old login stuff, but I couldn't find my old login stuff.
I couldn't find it either.
Yeah.
I was trying to do that not too long ago.
Yeah, same.
And it's you had your top 10 people, and it was oh my god, if you were top 10, you were really that means you and I were close. And if you got demoted from top 10, it was what the fuck? Why am I no longer on your top 10?
But if you think about it, they started us off early with that, wanting that dopamine drip. I'm not in your top, because it was top maybe 6 and then 8 and then 10.
I know, right?
And if you were off that list, you were pissed. The next day at school,
what? Why am I not on your top 10 or whatever it was?
I saw you talking to Marty.
Yeah, right? It was it was crazy. And I was just thinking about all those things as I was watching Penny play and she being so excited, to play different games. Just the fact that she learned how to swipe the card so to read it so that she could play a game. She had no idea what she was doing. She was just hitting the buttons. It was okay, this was really a waste. But another thing they have now is you either play by minutes or you play by points. So you can buy 120 points, which is really makes no sense, right? Or you can do 120 minutes for $33.
Okay.
So if you have 2 kids, that kind of works out because it's shit for 120, minutes, what is that? 2 hours,
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You can let these kids play whatever they want. They'd have to share it, but you know what I'm saying? Before it was you give 20, then you do another 10. Before you know it, it's $60, $70 that you've just spent. For me, Showbiz Pizza is also very special because my Uncle Juan used to pick me up on payday and take me to Showbiz Pizza. I'm the oldest grandchild on my dad's side of the family, so I was very favored a lot. You know what I'm saying? No one had kids. My dad's the oldest. So everybody was I was this new toy, if that makes sense. So it was
muñeca.
yeah, basically. So it was oh, I want to go pick her up, can I take her here? Can I take her there? So I couldn't wait until it was payday for my uncle because he was going to pick me up with my Aunt Lily, who I told you I was only 6 years older than me. And her birthday's on the 15th. So hers is the following Friday after mine.
Libra life.
Yeah, for real. And then after that, she would come. It'd be my other uncle who's passed away. And because those were the youngest 2 of his siblings, right? And then myself. And then my cousin, his son, was born, but he was a baby, so he really wasn't doing much yet. So he'd come pick us up. We'd go to Showbiz Pizza, and it was like a blast. You know what I'm saying? You're sitting there playing, jumping in the ball pin, and eating the pizza. Even the pizza was disgusting. Penny loves pizza. And the fact that she ate one pepperoni off the pizza and said that she didn't want any more, I was like, you gonna eat this $15 little, freaking, what do you call it?
Personal pie.
Personal pie. I was like, you better eat that. She's like, I don't like it. I'm like, you eat this.
You eat everything.
Yeah, like you eat all the time. Like pizza, pepperoni pizza is the only thing you'll eat, and you don't want this. No gusta. I was like, what? So I tasted it, right? Even though I was trying not to eat the pizza, and I was like, oh, no wonder she don't want this. I don't want this either. Pete and I ate at the salad bar, and he ordered boneless wings, which I think boneless wings are gross. So
really,
I just don't care for them. It's nuggets.
It is. It's
in
like
that
it's
case.
chicken strips.
Yeah. So for me, it's just like, well, I like the bone in. So I had like I had one nugget, and then the rest was the salad, and then it was just like, this food here, I swear to y'all, it used to be so much better. Like I literally would be willing to go to Showbiz Pizza or Chuck E. Cheese, whatever it is now, to go buy a pizza from there because it was that good.
Well, I told Dawn, I was like, yeah, I've never been. She goes, what? I go, yeah, we should take, because I don't think the twins have been either. I was like, we should take the twins. And she was like, yeah, we should. And I go, the next time that we have them, which actually falls on my birthday, which is on the 18th. By the way, ladies, if you want to send me some presents, you can. And I was like, she goes, yeah, let's do that. So now that you're describing it, though, I'm going to be like, you know what?
Now, for the adults, the older kids, right? They've got the newer technology. They have Guitar Hero there. I forgot what else. They still have the basketball. The one thing I am happy that they kept, that's still the old school game, is the one where you roll the ball and it goes. They kept that.
That's cool.
So they did keep that. So I was happy to at least see one game that was old school that was still there. But everything there is pretty much a new activity. They have a photo booth because how could you not take a picture?
Put a selfie.
A selfie. And you can look at it they give you where to go find it on Instagram, Facebook. That's what the era that we're in.
Dude.
Where back then there was no such thing. It was like, bring your camera and you're going to go develop the film and then you'll see what your pictures ended up looking like, What you're
describing to me too reminds me of, well, for one, it takes back to like what Chingo and I talk about, how everything's like technology, cards, chips, right? All integrated with tech. But also there's a modern monopoly. You ever played it? Where you have a credit card instead of money?
No.
Dude. Yeah. So there's a Monopoly game and I thought it would be so cool, right? To just have a card that you swipe and when you have money instead of exchanging money, but it takes so long. You have to put it in the machine. And in order for it to like change, you have to like hit the button, like the subtract or add and all that. And it takes longer to do that exchange than it does to just give me a 5 or give me a 50. And it makes the game go a lot slower. So
that doesn't sound fun at all.
It's not fun at all. No. I was mistaken.
Yeah, I just really think things have changed, and I'm glad that I've had the opportunity. So I was thinking about like older people, older than me, right? Like how they've seen even more things evolve and change, and how they think this is crazy because, the things that we talk about now I feel like such a grandma now. Like,
yeah,
we went to Marissa's baby shower this Saturday. By the time you guys hear this episode, okay, Marissa had her baby.
Yeah.
So she's having her baby on Tuesday at 9:45 a.m. So we record this on Monday. So for you guys, she was going to come. She was going to try to come, but they're doing all kind of tests on her before she goes in. So I don't know. But anyway, we were sitting there talking, and we were talking about like such mature things. It was like hilarious to me because we were talking about, which I guess it's a topic that is out there, but it was the guy who got let go and he shot the little boy at the Astros game. The guy who killed the little boy is out.
Really?
Yes, on bond.
Oh wow!
Only $30,000 is what he had to pay, which is a lot of money, right? But I'm just saying, like,
not for killing a kid.
So it was crazy. So we were talking about that. They were talking about the school boards, like making sure you go vote at the school board. We're like, it's just like these topics now. It's like, who are we? Like,
yeah.
And I told Marissa, I said, she's like, thank you for coming. She sent me a text. I was like, your party was the right amount of people for me. Does that make sense?
That?
Yes.
Can I guess it was no more than 10 people?
No more than 10 people.
Yeah.
It was great.
That was awesome.
It was amazing. Like that's my kind of party. I can still talk to you, and the awesome thing was we were all talking to each other outside, so everybody was a part of the same conversation. Here and there, another one would go off on their own, right? Because they got on that subject, and we would continue on this. But it was like, everybody was there.
That's where it's at, man.
You know, and I just...
Small tribes.
So then on the way home, guys, I know everybody's like, this episode is so boring. Old people talk. Like, listen, guys, that is where I'm at 40. And I can't...
These are the best kind of podcasts. What are you talking about?
When I tell you guys, I was a party animal. So patrons, when I go to my mom's house, I'm gonna go try to get me some old pictures of like my younger days, and I'm gonna give you guys like just for you guys to see some insane like activities. Like, I mean, we're on the river. I'm passed out on like a float. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're doing beer bongs. You know what I'm saying? Like keg stands. You know, like you're just doing all these things where you're like, now do not sound not even a little bit fun to me. It just sounds like such a job. It sounds like a job to go party. So on the way back from Marissa's, because we live downtown, we go through all the downtown chaos that it happens on the weekends,
all the hot
spots, which people are partying, right?
Yeah.
So you're going through the traffic as people are trying to park. It's only like 10 p.m., right? And so the funny thing is, it's like we're caught in this line of like traffic being directed to the parking spots, and Pete's so annoyed. He's like, oh my God, where are they all going? I'm like, to the club happening like right there. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, he's like, you couldn't pay me. I said, no, you couldn't pay me to go to a club. Like, you just could. Rob, don't you remember that one time?
Yeah, dude.
We were just standing there. How dumb did we look? We were standing there eating tacos. When have you ever eaten tacos at a club while you're supposed to be partying and dancing?
Oh, dude. I mean, in all fairness, the food was amazing.
The food was amazing. I was in a corner enjoying tacos. Meanwhile, there's a whole...
Pachanga, like a whole thing
going on in front of us.
Meanwhile,
like,
we were like, who's going to ask for more? Like, who's going to ask? Can we have some more of these?
Can we get another one of these tacos? Like, these were delicious. The food there was great.
Dude, it was. It was
really good. But yeah, isn't that crazy?
What's making you think of? Is it really turning like 40 and you have like a toddler and a baby? Like, answer me this, okay? Let's pretend like I'm interviewing here for a second. Is it an existential crisis kind of thing? Like, are you kind of maybe panicking at what's going on around the world while you're simultaneously trying to figure out life with two little ones?
Yes. And I'll tell you why. Because I noticed that I get scared a lot easier now. Like, I think about, Marissa and I the other day, we were talking about how she's been thinking about like dying, like death and stuff.
Yeah.
That's me. I'm constantly like, if Pete steps out by himself to go to the store, I'm always like, oh, hope he doesn't look at anybody. You know what I'm saying? Makes a remark about something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that chef that got shot, it was very nonchalant like that. Like, he just glanced over at the couple arguing. That guy assumed that he was like mad dogging them, which he wasn't. He just, you hear two people arguing. What's the natural thing to do? You just kind of turn around and look, and then you keep minding your business, right?
Yeah.
And basically that's what he did, and he ended up shot like, I don't know, was it 6 bullets? And he still has 2 of them stuck in there. Like, he posted on his story the other day, like, he's like, I don't know what's up with this shit. They can't take it out.
Wow.
Yeah. So now it's that anxiety, and it's like, but when we go into the bed, first thing I say, did you lock the front door? Did you lock the back door? Did you close the gate? Is the alarm on? All that it's what I ask before going to bed. I honestly can't say that I used to
worry about
that much. I'd just be honest with you. Like, my front door's locked. Cool. Do I have an alarm system? No, I didn't care if I did or didn't. Did I have cameras all around my house before? No, I didn't care. Now there's like, hey, I don't like the way that one is the angle. Do you think that we can move that one to angle more? You know what I'm saying? Like that's
yeah. Not to mention sensors on the windows.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I worry about. Like making sure that all our alarms like work. You know, it's.
Well, dude, you're 40.
I know.
That makes sense.
But it's just insane how much you change as you get older. Okay, so then I totally watched that damn Squid Games.
You did.
The whole thing, Rob.
You binged it all?
Have
Okay,
you
we
not?
got no, I have not, but I sent it to y'all not even thinking you were going to watch it.
Rob, Saturday, we were folding shirts for merch that we were going to take, right?
Uh-huh.
I finished it. Because you got to remember, I'm up because I'm breastfeeding.
Okay.
And Soleil likes to go to bed at 1 a.m.
However you got to justify. I'm not judging.
No.
It's a
I'm
good
just
show
telling
from
you.
what I've
No,
heard.
I didn't want. I started to turn it off because I started getting scared. That's what I'm about to get to. I was starting to get anxiety. Like I started getting scared. Here's why. To be honest with you, because I feel like there's some truth in there because of that girl that was on Joe Rogan's podcast from North Korea, how she escaped and how she said like
Yemeni Park.
yes. And so I just kind of feel like there's some truth in there, and I wonder if they really be fucking like the poor people, because think about it. Everybody that went there went because they owed debt.
So for listeners that maybe haven't seen it, because this show is like relatively new, but it's exploded in popularity.
Oh my God. Mickey said that, she said that on TikTok, the show was ruined before she even got to watch it, because she's watched it all already also. She said that they kept posting like
Spoilers.
the endings and
Yeah.
you know,
I hate
all this.
that.
And she's like, I was so annoyed. And I was like, oh my God. So it's basically these handful of people who get picked to go there, and they're struggling. They're struggling in life. The main guy just can't get it together. You know what I'm saying? The other guy, who's an overachiever, really embezzled all this money. And so, you know what I'm saying? Now he's got to find a way to get all this money to pay all these people back, or they're going to kill his family, you know, his mom, his brother, and so forth. And then there's a brother. Then there's an older man. Man, you just have to watch it, because the older man is the older man in this series is where you're like, what? Because you kind of like feel for him. And then you realize that he's just he's
a shuckster. All right. Okay.
You got to watch it. The way they were killing them off, Rob, I was like, oh my God. Like I had to forward it. Like it was too much. Like, look, I'm getting goosebumps right now. Like,
Oh, you got to fast forward it?
I just couldn't watch that much killing, bro, because they were really killing them. Like they were playing red light, green light.
All right, bro.
And then they were just like killing them.
Oh, I saw that in the preview. I saw in the trailer.
I was like, wait, like, why are you just killing them? Like, you're just killing them. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, so there's 2 girls on there, and it's kind of getting towards the end, right? So it's kind of like life or death. There's only a few of them left, you know? And these 2 young girls, one of them talked about, here's why I thought about this whole thing. One of them talks about, like, she's like, well, why are you in here? And so basically she said that her mom they crossed over from North Korea, and she was in China, and immigration took her and sent her back. So she was trying to get money to bring her mom back from North Korea. She made it, and her brother now ended up in an orphanage. He was younger. It was just like, it's just like that part was so sad. Like how her route in this whole series, it was intense. Fucking tense. I was just like,
I like how you didn't stop, though. You watched the entire thing.
I know. I watched episodes 1 and 2. And when 3 started, it had kind of like a spooky music. I turned that bitch off. I couldn't watch it because I got scared. Because I could see into the living room, and it was just so dark over there. And I was like, oh my God. I just started thinking of all kind of shit. And so I was like, I can't watch this. So I turned it off. I'm in the dark now with Sunny like, come on, go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to turn this back on. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, now I'm just like on the phone, waiting for her to like kind of pass out. But, yeah.
Was Shingo watching it with you, or you saw it by yourself?
He did watch like a little bit, then he'd knock out. And then he watched the majority of it, where he caught up like when we were folding shirts.
Okay,
but he wasn't really into it as much as I was. I don't know why. He didn't really find that much interest last night, I decided to click on one called Clickbait.
I've seen that too. I just haven't watched it.
I haven't finished watching that either, but I am pretty deep into it. My mom was the one that told me to watch that one. It's kind of fucked up too, man. Some fucked up shit out there. And I'm just starting to think that, here's what I started to think about Squid Games. Okay, who fucking wrote that? You're sicko.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Sicko. Who wrote that? Because, you know, when you write a book or you write something, it comes from something. It stems from something, right? So where did you get the idea of killing off people?
But that's such a common thing, though.
What? Over a game, though? And then you picked kid games, bro? No, something's fucked up with you.
Well, it's like, did you ever watch Saw or the Purge?
I haven't watched The Purge, but someone told me that I need to watch it. Oh, and Marissa's actually. They kept saying like, because Marissa like lives in the fucking woods like area, and so she's like, it's getting kind of purgy out here, and I was like, what? And so like somebody turned the light on, you know, but yeah. So no, I have not watched The Purge, so I have no idea. And someone told me that Squid Games is the same as Hunger Games.
I never saw Hunger Games.
I never saw Hunger Games either, but I would see people reading the books all the time. Like I'd go to a coffee shop and I'd see people into this book and I'd be like, you know, it's not my cup of tea. Like that's not a book that I would sit and read. But
no, I agree. But
it was crazy.
I think the shows like that kind of get, and at least for me, they get me in the mindset of like being open to preparing for stuff like that.
Yes, exactly. That's why I think I got anxiety watching it. Like I got scared. Like at some point, I think we need to prepare. Why are we talking about preparing? Preparing for what? That's what I'm telling y'all. Y'all need to get right with God. We need to get right with God. And I hate it because I'm about to be 40 and I really think about these things now. You know what I'm saying? Like these things are really like permanent thoughts in my head. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, did this happen more so after Penny? I don't know. Like I'm trying to figure out when I became so paranoid and so like, you know, like before I start sounding crazy to anybody, I'm not sitting there figuring out how I'm going to like prepare for Doomsday or anything like that. Although kind of, but you know, I just like, you know, like just, there's a lot of things that now I think about. And I think it's because you worry so much. It's a reminder every time why I never wanted to be a parent.
Marisol, you're speaking to my soul because I agree, 100% agree with you.
It's like, I'm like, wow, I tortured myself. Like I did this to myself. Like, hello, you said it yourself. It's too much responsibility to have a child. Like you're responsible for pretty much anything fucked up that happens. Think about that.
Yeah.
How my parents did it, I don't know. Like how they just went through life. Then this is another thing. Like there's just some people that I think just don't think about these things because when I was at Chuck E. Cheese, I had Sunny in the Doona, which is, if you guys don't know, look up the stroller. It's called Doona, Doona. And it's a car seat / stroller, right? It's super small. It's a European company. So, you know, everything's really tiny. And so she's like, I really have seen these around. She's like, how do you like it? So I'm like giving her my review. It's perfect. And she's like, it's so expensive. I said, I know. But if you kind of calculate what a stroller cost, what a car seat cost, put it together, it pretty much ends up being the cost of that Doona. You know what I'm saying? So it's
car
like,
seats are real good ones are really expensive.
Exactly. So it's kind of like, you know, it's really the same thing, but you're getting it in one. And so I was explaining to her, she's like, yeah. She's like, well, I guess I'm going to keep having kids. So I should get use of it. And I was like, you're pregnant and you've got 3 over there and you're saying you're still going to continue.
3? So
she had 3. That one's going to be the first little girl she was having. She had 3 boys and the little girl, she was pregnant with a girl. And, you know, I said, well, and I was telling her, I said, it was great. Penny used it. Now Soleil's using it. Excuse me. And she was like, yeah, I figured if I'm going to have more kids, I'll get my money's worth. And I was like, wait, you're planning to have on more kids? Like, this is your 4th one, bro.
This totally goes into a little bit of a side tangent, but I want to get back to what you're talking about. But a couple of RPT listeners were sending me these screenshots this morning from a representative, a congressman, I don't know from what state, that wants to propose legislation that would limit the amount of children Americans can have, like in China. Like,
see what I'm talking about?
like I think it was no more than 2 or 3, and then after 40, you also shouldn't be allowed to have. It was a crazy proposal that's supposed. So I have to obviously look into it to see how accurate and real it is, and it's not completely just BS. But yeah, man, that's crazy.
Rob, you shouldn't have told me that.
I'm gonna look into it for tomorrow's episode.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, I think maybe, Pete and I were talking about this at Chuck E. Cheese. I said, do you think if we would have met when we were younger, like maybe 28? Because I can't imagine having kids before that age, to be honest with you.
Totally.
Like, I would have been an awful parent, number one. I might have had to mature, right? I guess you have to get it together after you have a kid, right? So I don't know. But I just know that I didn't have it together. Like financially I did, but mentally, no way. Super selfish. There's no way you could have paid me to have a kid at that time.
Yeah.
But I said, if we would have been at 28, do you think we would have had more kids? He's like, I don't know. I was like, yeah, I don't know either. I think we might have at least had 3 together. Like I do. Like I think we would have done 3, you know, and then I'd been like, well, you know, I'm still young. Want to try from one more. Like I feel like I would, you know, because I love like the one thing I loved about my dad's family, it was like on Sundays at my grandma's house, it was a blast because there was 9 plus all their kids. And we're all hanging out. We're playing outside. We're running, you know what I'm saying? Chasing each other, playing hide and seek. You know, my grandmother had a pool table in the garage. We'd be playing pool. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was just like, it was fun. And I used to say, oh my God, I would love to have a big family, right? Then when you're young, you think that, right? But I remember, Rob, you probably don't even know about this game, but MASH.
No.
Of course you don't.
You name obscure things.
So it was a paper and it was MASH and it stands for mansion, apartment, shack, or house.
Okay.
Okay. And then you put kids and how many kids you wanted to have. And then you put 3 boys you'd want to marry, right? This is right. And then you'd put 3 jobs you'd like to have. So it was kids, jobs, husband or something like that. I forget what the other ones were, right? I forgot how you I guess like ended up, I think it was, you do a circle like this. So whoever's doing the MASH for you, they make a circle. So you're going and then you say stop and then you'd count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's how you would go from the top 1, 2, 3, 4 / 1, 2, 3, 4. And you keep going until you ended up with your 1. My kids, right, were always 1, 0, 2.
Okay.
So I was okay with 1 if I made 2 perfect, but if I had 0, I was also okay. And my friends would always get mad because I would put 0. And they're like, you can't put 0. I'm like, yes, I can put 0. And they would get mad because I would put 0.
Yeah.
Because that was not a number to them. But to me, it was like, yeah, 0 kids, like none, like no kids. They're like, you can't. Like, isn't that weird how you thought that back then?
No, because I agree with you. Like
but you're little. We're in elementary where you're playing this in the 5th grade. You're playing this little game, right? And the fact that I knew that 0 was a number for me, like 0 kids. And to my girlfriends, it was like, no, there's no such thing as 0 kids. You have to have a kid.
Meanwhile, the other side of that spectrum is one of my good friends' wives who was like, had been dreaming of, you know, being married and having children since she was like 6 or something like that. And she's on her way to living that life. But that same kind of a person, no offense to anybody that this might be, which I doubt, it's like when I think about podcast listeners, they're so well like versed in a lot of different ideas and thoughts that I don't ever think they're simple-minded like this, but she's oblivious to almost everything else. Like anything that's going on worldly or anything that's going on, like even just environmentally around, like life-wise, just oblivious to it. She just wants her kids, live her life, which is fine.
Which I think is a great thing. Yeah, I wish I could do that.
But I can't get behind the ignorance is bliss thing. Like to be completely uninformed is just really, really strange to me.
I kind of would like to live in this bubble, like where I don't know about anything. Do you know that my phone said that I was down 22%?
In usage?
In usage.
I'm trying to get there myself.
That is a lot for me. Usually it was like, you're down like 10, you know. I think
8.
Like very low, you know. But I'm talking about 22% in this past week. I've not really been active on my merch because I'm working hard on trying to get everything to drop for the fall, right? And I mean, I still have to get people to engage over there. I don't want them to forget about her apparel. You know what I'm saying? I haven't really been posting on my personal, right? Because I depended so much on Ilse to send me the ideas. But because I switched over to trying to focus on YouTube, I was not focused on what I'm going to post on my Instagram. I was worried about how these videos are going to be executed for YouTube. So like I shifted gears. So it was kind of like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? And then I totally went and remembered like, oh, hey, I haven't posted anything here or there. So, I like that I haven't really been on because I haven't really been informed. But then when I get informed, I get mad. Does that make sense? Like I just get so annoyed and I just like, I'm tired of this. Like I'm tired. I don't understand how no one else in the world is exhausted.
I'm sure everyone's exhausted, which is why they're at each other's throats.
I know, but at some like just give up already. Let's just all work together. That's what I mean. Like, don't we all see that this is not resolving anything? Like, we just need to fight against these politicians. They're fucking idiots. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not doing anything for us. They're not, except creating this fucking chaos.
Oh yeah,
between each other. You know what I'm saying? Between races. Like, okay. And here's the perfect example.
And between class. But
yes, exactly. And then the George Floyd statue that just got vandalized, right? They got posted.
Watch it come find out it was somebody from that camp, like some BLM activist or whatever. Because a lot of these stories have been people within those organizations.
Yes. And so what I'm getting at is this. Why do you make that a top story?
Because it gets clicks.
What you're You know what you're doing. So you're going to make people who agree with what happened there and people who are just kind of like, well, he was a criminal. Why are we like glorifying him? And then you have those that feel like, wait a minute, this was not fair. This is not just. So now you have these two people fighting again. Again. You see what I'm saying? And so it's like, at some point, like we need to open up our eyes that the media is causing for us, the people, to fight against each other, to not like each other. Like, I'm not saying we were this perfect world before. By all means, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you have to like everybody. But you know what? We were surviving. We were working. We were worried about our own business. You know what I'm saying? And we were just kind of like dealing with life, right? Whatever it is. Right now, you have people trying to figure out how they're going to have a job because they didn't want to take a vaccine. Never in a million years. And what's the point of this? I know it was like, okay, here we go, going into politics. No, my point of this is never in my entire life did I think I was going to see the day where I am being forced to do something in a world that's supposed to be so free.
Yeah, and it's not even politics. It's just life. At this point, it's just life.
It's like, just why are you making people like, I just feel like they're like, and Pete and I were talking about this morning. I said, okay, why didn't Trump take out Fauci?
Bad advisors?
Like, bro. And everybody's like, oh, there's a lot of shit that Trump should have done and didn't do. But I guess he didn't have time. I don't fucking know what happened.
Sure.
But, and like Pete said, and should Biden take out Fauci? It was like, you can almost like be like, you know what? Okay, you're doing one thing right. Like, let's...
No, they're homies. They talk about it.
Exactly.
Cool.
So it's like, that's not going to happen, but just hypothetical. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is stuff that we should be... My thing is that it's like, I never in a million years thought like people were going to be mad at each other over if you vaccinated or not. It was like a private thing.
Yeah.
It was a private thing. And now you're asking me to tell you my medical history is how I feel.
No, for sure. And now Israel came out and said that if you haven't gotten the third one,
yes,
you're not
can't
considered.
Even dine or
you're not considered fully vaccinated. You have to have the third one, otherwise you can't go indoors anywhere. It's crazy, dude. It really is. But going back to what you said earlier, if you just kind of if a large fraction of the population just gave up, then you're either giving up your civil liberties or your freedoms into the people that want to take over, or you have to kind of stand up and be that loud, obnoxious, squeaky wheel that is going up against it. Like famous country musician Jason Aldean, him and his wife are pretty outspoken about stuff, and I guess they live in California, and they were saying how, when did we think that in a place that's supposed to be the freest place on earth, we would leave up vaccination statuses and decisions like that to Gavin Newsom instead of, our
exactly.
Own rights or what have you.
Like, you're telling me what I can put into my child's body and what I can't?
It's crazy, dude.
The craziest thing to me is how there's so many parents who are just willing to put this thing that was never really fully researched into their children. The fact that you're excited about it. Luisa said, my babysitter said that her daughter is going to get her granddaughter vaccinated. And I said, that is the craziest thing you can do. I said,
told her
please.
that?
I told her.
Okay.
I said, please don't do that. I said, don't do that to her. It's not fair. I was like, she is not going to get it. Like, she doesn't have any other issues. I'm like, you're putting something into her that it has not. I said, you did it. That's fine. Your daughter did it. That's fine. Y'all already lived long enough. I said, but her, she's little.
Yeah.
Should anything happen, you're going to be mad at yourself. I said, so it's like all these vaccines that are out, right? That the children have to get. Penny got them all, right?
Yeah.
Soleil's going to get them all. Again, but I was even cautious with those. Like I've said before, I followed the Dr. Sears method. And although I think it was Roxy when she came on said that he no longer backs up that method, the Dr. Sears method, I don't care. I still follow it. So I still do the schedule of that the way it is. You know what I'm saying? So I just do it that way. And so anyway, that's just, to me, it's like, I just can't. I can't do that to my kids. I can't do it to them. I feel like as a parent, we have to be more responsible in thinking, how the fuck they come up with the vaccine? What was it? 3 months, 6 months? They literally said, we'll have one by November. And it happened before November.
Yeah. Yeah, this sounds a little strange, but I think podcasts, honestly, like this and just independent thinkers and speakers, in a sense, have a big role to play in how people view the world. Because if you have a lot of the people that are ignorance is bliss kind of camp, you know, they just kind of go about their lives. If they at least start hearing things from a different perspective outside of what the TV says, or maybe even just terrestrial radio, it's better for the population than if you just have everybody going along with whatever the narrative is on TV. And I know it sounds weird, and it's like if every other person had a podcast that reached 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people, like that can make a really big impact on the way people think.
For sure. And you know, like, it made me really angry when I saw like nurses who refused to get the vaccine, right? And again, like it says, they were like heroes last year, right?
Yeah.
But this year, they're fucking zeros. Yeah, or they're the ones like not fun. I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck? Like, since when did we require vaccines for a job, bro?
Yeah, just look at Australia right now as an example of what could happen here. I just
can't, I don't get it. And it sucks. Like, I try to like tell, like, I'm trying to, like, I wish that I had like some kind of job where I could hire all, like some kind of business where I could hire all these people. Like,
Sure.
I can't hire them all, obviously, but I could offer work to these people. That's not fair. It's just literally, and the way my brain works, because it's just unfair. And I just kind of feel like, wait a minute, how does that make any sense, guys? And anyway, they're the ones fucking exposing themselves to this shit. So if anything, as a business, what you should have said was, sign this document. We told you either you get vaccinated, and if you catch it and you die, that's on you. Sign it. That's how I would do it. I gave y'all the option of getting the vaccine. You also have the option of not getting the vaccine. Should you get sick and die, your family can't sue us, because we done gave you the option. You know, you do what you want to do. But for you to fire somebody,
yeah, that's wild.
It's insane.
And I think New York this week, at the end of this week or sometime this week, are going to start having the National Guard take over those roles.
I know, but they're not even vaccinated. So they don't have to be vaccinated until next year, June 2022.
Yeah, I know.
What is that? What?
What is that?
How does that even make sense? I was like, when I saw that, I was like, let me read in this, because this cannot be real. That they're not having to be vaccinated until next year, June. Okay, then why don't you give those nurses the option to vaccinate themselves until June 2022?
Because we said so, and you have to do it.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
Never. Rob,
Yeah.
in 40 years, I'm about to be 40. I never thought I'd see this. Like, when we would learn about slavery in school, it was like, I can't fucking believe that ever existed.
Sure.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I feel like I can't believe we're living in this type of world. I never thought I never, like, I'm going to be old telling my girls that when y'all were born, by the way, Soleil, you were born during a fucking pandemic.
That's a weird sentence to say, huh?
Very.
But also, I think on our talking to our kids and maybe even on our deathbeds, we're going to say things like, or at least I'm going to, like, we were a part of, by no other chance than just luck, we were a part of one of the greatest experiments this planet has ever known, which is America. And now that sounds super rah-rah, and if you're not super rah-rah about the country, I understand, but you can be proud of the country and not be proud of your government. The government is just people. The government is just dudes from high school that were nerds, chicks in high school that got picked on, and now they have positions of power in government, which is a couple hundred people, and they're telling you what to do.
And I just don't get why they're not calling out, like Marissa says, they're in cahoots. They work
there's
together.
Too many mutual interests.
Yeah, so it's like, that's why it's so important that we know and we vote for people that really show that they care. You know what I'm saying? Versus like the Sheila E. Jackson lady. Ma'am, how many more terms are you going to be able to serve?
Yeah, term limits is a big problem.
I don't even get it. Like, is there anybody else running up against her?
Sometimes the facial expressions make these clips.
My God. I just like, what? Ma'am, her. Same thing with like, we already know how Lena made it. We don't need to discuss that.
Sure.
And I'm going to be there making sure she don't get it again.
Yeah.
I'm going to go march outside where we vote. And be
The
like,
one
do not
time
vote.
Marisol's ever marched in anything is going to be to make sure she stays out of office.
Exactly. Her. And then, and I'm sorry if you like her. You know what I'm saying? I just really am really disappointed in someone who got a position, who's Latina and, not Latinx, Latina, just to be clear. I would have thought that by now she would, even though she's Democrat, I know, I would have thought by now she would have been like, yeah, my party is fucking some shit up. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have to sound like you're against them, but you should definitely kind of like push to protect. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, that's how I see it. Like, you just have to accept when you're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And right now, what's happening with this administration, the majority of it is wrong. Like, just admit it. It's okay. Like, I would have more respect if they admitted that the way they handled a lot of stuff was wrong, which is obvious. I know I don't need them to, but I do at the same time, because I think that more people would probably be more forgiving and being like, all right, so they fucked up. You know what I'm saying? So what are we going to do now to fix it? Because the borders are we're getting more caravans coming in. What's going to happen?
Once, and this is going back to the beginning of the podcast, why it's so important to be at least a little informed, so that when things happen, you're not completely caught off guard, and then your mind's blown. You're like, what? I didn't see this coming. Well, no shit. You haven't been paying attention to things for 18 months.
I'm just telling you, like, I've been sitting there thinking about me turning 40 and thinking about the things I'm afraid of now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm afraid of like food shortage. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm afraid of. Like, because they say it's going to happen. The 18-wheelers on strike. The drivers. Mm-hmm. So that means things are not getting here. Let me give you an example. We bought this thing for the Tahoe, right? Mm-hmm. To like be able to stack luggage in the back. Mm-hmm. Like this little, I don't know what you call them. I guess it's just like a little.
It's just a little cart.
Like a little cart, yes. So our Tahoe doesn't have the actual hinge. So they don't even, they told Pete this. We're going to order the part, but I can't guarantee it'll be here on Monday because everything's been taking a minimum of 2 weeks to a month to arrive. So anyways, he was on the phone with them, and long story short, they don't have the part, and it's still not here, and they don't know when the part will be here. Here's another example. My dry cleaning guy, he can't get hangers.
Hangers have been out for a hot minute.
He can't get hangers. He's having to buy them local now and at Harwin. And he's paying like a wazoo for hangers, because he handed me the stuff. My comforter. Usually he puts on this really like industrial looking hanger, right? Mm-hmm. And this time it was in a bag just folded. And I was like, that's odd. He's like, I'll take it to your car. And I was like, okay. And he's like, sorry about the no hangers. And I was like, oh, it's fine. I was like, I'm just going to go home and put it on my bed anyway, you know? It's like, man, they're just so expensive. And, you know, the big industrial ones that hold heavy stuff like this, it's like, I can't find them. He's like, and locally, they're way too high. He's like, and I don't want to put that cost on my customer. So I'm not going to appreciate you not putting the cost on me. You know what I'm saying? Thank you. Because I don't want to pay for a hanger that I'm going to throw away anyway. So, you know. But even hangers, like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like the littlest things. It's insane to me. Like, I never thought I'd be 40 and living this and being concerned about these things. That's my point.
Rogan was talking about this with Bert Kreischer, where he was like, look, my wife, when I started, apparently he has like a Doomsday, like SUV or a Doomsday like truck or something that he built. Rogan, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like an apocalypse type of truck,
Holy
right?
shit, he would though.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what Bert said. Like, yeah, you would. But so when he had that built and then he started stocking up on food and he started stocking up on ammo, this was just before the pandemic hit. His wife was like, Joe, honey, like, what are you doing? Like, this is complete madness, right? And then the pandemic hits like a month or two later, and she's like seeing the lines at the ammo stores and seeing shortage. She's like, this totally makes sense. I never thought that this would be where we are, but I'm glad we're prepared. And that goes back to what we were saying earlier, is being a little prepared. That also goes with not being completely ignorant to what's going on. Otherwise, but those people also make the world go around, right? The people that are just completely oblivious and out of the way, they're kind of like these, they call them like NPCs, like non-playable characters. You ever go to a store? I know Marisol's face was just like, what? But yeah, there's this term for these people that are walking around that are just complete, you know, oblivious to what's going on.
Like the way the games are, where they just bump into them on a, like.
Yes, dude. And I am convinced thoroughly that a lot of these people, for whatever reason, maybe they're just wired that way from birth, or they've been planted here by aliens. I don't know, but they're complete non-playable characters. We took the kids to a store the other day, for example, and the parents of some of the kids were just like, you would think that they didn't have kids. They don't watch them. They don't pay attention to them. They're just completely oblivious. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I'd be on my kids' ass if they were doing what they were doing.
The only place that I let Penny run off and I'm sitting there is the indoor playground.
Yeah, at a playscape, sure.
Yeah, and so it's like I'm sitting there on a bench, but I'm looking every time to see where she's at. Also, there's no other adults in there either, except for parents sitting on the bench as well. You know what I'm saying? But you're constantly watching them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And if you see, like, for example, yesterday at Chuck E. Cheese, Pete was so funny. He was like, they want to make a big deal about my coffee, because I stopped and got coffee. And we go in, he's like, he goes, hide your coffee. He's like, they're not going to let you come in. The little boy was nice enough to tell me that. I was like, all right, I'll put it in my backpack, you know? And so I like kind of put it in there. And then the cop, as I'm waiting in line to pay, she's like, ma'am, what's in your bottle? And I had Penny's water bottle. I said, it's just water. And she's like, I'm going to let you come in with the coffee. She goes, but next time don't bring it in. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't know. She goes, yeah, okay. I was like, what the fuck? Okay. I just spent
whatever it was, yeah.
You're gonna make a big deal about this, but fine, you know, it's expensive in those places anyway. You end up spending a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, whatever. So then, so we're playing, right? She's playing. Then all of a sudden, I see this one homeless black man who stands out, because the majority of people at the location I went to were Hispanic. So, I mean, if you were white, you were going to be spotted. If you were Asian, you were going to be spotted, because, like I said, everybody was pretty much Hispanic in there, you know? So I see him walking around, and he's like bugging people. And Pete's like, I hadn't noticed him yet because I was playing with Penny. He goes, look at this. This homeless person's in here begging for stuff. How the fuck did he get in? And no one told him he couldn't come in. Yeah, we couldn't even they made a big deal about you bringing in coffee.
For real, though.
So then I'm watching him, and he's just going around. And then there's this family eating pizza. And he goes over there and asks for the pizza. And the family was nice enough to give him 2 slices. And he walks off. And he collected something from everybody. And then left. I said, he better not come ask me. He better not come ask me.
He saw your face. He's like, I'm not going over there.
Yeah, he sure did. It was funny because he turned another way and kept going, walking. Like, he looked at me. We made eye contact. He just kept like, nah. I'm glad. I like him so. The other day, there's a deaf guy at the corner begging for money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, are you really deaf? And he looks at me, he goes, yes. And I said, okay, so why are you begging for money? He goes, I don't have money. I said, but you can apply for, the deaf get help already automatically. They get disability. So I said, why haven't you gone to apply for it? I said, you don't need to be out here. I said, there's help, you know? And he was like, what did he say? He goes, yeah, I don't know how to use the computer. I said, so I told him to go to the church where I used to work out of. I said, and they can assist you there. He's like, no, that's too far. I'm like, catch the bus. It's in the city. Go get it. You know, you get money from begging out here. So use some of that. Get on the bus and go to this church and then come back to your spot if you want. But, you know, and then so then the problem becomes with that is that they have to have an address where these checks need to go to. So I guess that's also the problem where that's it. But I'm just like, you know, lately too, I like wonder where a lot of these homeless are going to as they're clearing up this area. I was like, where are y'all sending these homeless? Because they're disappearing.
Really?
So they came a little bit closer to the bridge, kind of as you go into my neighborhood, right? Bro, they made a whole house out of cardboard. It's legit.
Yeah, they made a little condo out there.
And they even have like a stroller and like, you know, this power car that Penny has, but it's a smaller version. It's parked out there. I said, if they have a kid in that damn cardboard house, I'm about to have a shit attack.
Of course they do.
Okay, where's CPS? CPS is quick to take kids from other people, but where's CPS now?
That, and this is just maybe a pessimistic view, that doesn't make headlines. Let's say CPS goes into like a neighborhood of, I don't know, anybody and you know, creates a stir. That's going to create some clicks and views and a story.
And then, you know, we drive by Star Hope because to come, it makes me so, I hate that I'm the type of person that just wants to save the world.
I understand.
I wish I was just like, fuck them. They shouldn't have, you know, this. Oh, dang. Okay.
You're getting real crunk.
Getting really crunk.
Punch that microphone.
I wish that I was more like a type of person that was like, well, they did this to themselves, which I know these are choices, right? Like Kelly Jean posted yesterday. 2 men, both had alcoholic parents or fathers, right? You ask one goes and becomes this successful person, never touches, you know what I'm saying, alcohol. And then you have another person who touches alcohol and is a drunk. And they ask both the men, like it's a meme, right? And it's like a little cartoon thing. It's like, you know, why don't you drink? You know, why do you drink or whatever it was? And it was like, cause my father did it. And then the other one's like, cause my father did it. Right. So it's like same scenario.
Totally
it's up
different
to
outcomes.
you.
Yeah.
How you choose how you're going to handle this. You know what I'm saying? So I know that a lot of homeless people, it's like, it's about choices that you've made. You've made choices, right? And you chose, I don't know, for whatever reason to use drugs or whatever it is, right? And it led you through this path. But what about those folks who like during this lockdown were no longer able to work, weren't able to have, you know, what is, Dave Ramsey say you need to have at least 6 months worth of savings, right?
Your emergency fund.
Your emergency fund. It's not even a lot. It's like $1,000 is what he says you should have an emergency fund, I think.
Well, the emergency fund, should be 1,000, but you should strive to have 6 months of your total, you know, bills, debt or whatever.
So like, that's what I mean. Like, what about those people who live paycheck to paycheck and then this fucking lockdown happened? They weren't able to work for whatever reason. They got laid off or whatever. And now they're really screwed.
Yeah.
And now what? So now they're sitting outside with their families because families are the ones that get into the shelters first. You know what I'm saying? To get in, because I saw a family out there that looked pretty put together. Like they didn't look like they hadn't bathed or, you know what I'm saying? Like they looked like they probably went to a family's house to bathe or whatever it is, and they needed somewhere to stay. And maybe like they don't want to, I don't know. I'm just making a whole story in my head as to why they're out there.
Yeah.
But they looked put together. The 2 little kids had a backpack. Like they had just gone, it just broke my heart. I was just like, oh my God. I was like, what what happens? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so many people were affected by this lockdown and pandemic too. It's kind of like, I mean, my renter who has never been late on their rent, never, text me and said that they both caught COVID, him and his wife, right? And basically they don't get paid, like if they don't go to work. So they had to be out. They were both out for a hot minute. So they weren't going to have the money for the rent. And so I said, well, fuck, you know what I'm saying? I said, well, can you at least pay half, you know? They said yes. And they were so grateful, you know what I'm saying, that I gave them, you know, like they were paying half. Like now it's like they're adding $100 extra to their rent, you know what I'm saying? And so, but the fact that they were grateful for it, but it was just like, to me, it's like you have hardworking people like that who try to pay their bills on time. Yeah. They're never late and they can't miss a day of work.
Yeah, man. Because
then they don't have money to pay their rent. Now, what if I would have been a fucking renter that was like, no, sorry. So each day that you're late with your rent, it's, you know, the $50. So figure it the fuck out. This is a business, because technically it's what it is. It's a business. You ain't got your money. I don't know what you're going to do. That's not my problem. Luckily, I need my rent.
You're right. But luckily you didn't take that approach and you were more level headed with it, because if you were one of those landlords that approached them like that, they could have easily turned into those tenants that just said, well, we have a moratorium for who knows how long and we don't have to pay you shit. Which is illegal, but it was done anyway.
Exactly.
How are you going to let all these real estate investors not get their fucking money for over a year?
They're paying them now.
So, yeah, I heard some.
They're paying them now.
I don't know what the process is and how many people are going to get
it. But it's insane. Like, I'm grateful that my tenants never...
That's great.
Had to have issues, but the one time they did, and I felt for them. She was very sincere too. She was like, "I'm really embarrassed to ask." Like she was embarrassed, you know what I'm saying? Like just
a good hardworking person.
Yeah, exactly. It's like hardworking people, exactly. And it's just like I think about them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, don't get it twisted. Like we ain't got all this money. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not like fucking Beyonce or anything. You know, but I think it was me going through debt when I was really like young and just, you know, opening one credit card to pay another one. And I like learned that life experience at such a young age. I'm terrified to ever go through that again, which luckily we were able to like kind of not stress during the pandemic. Now we weren't able to have our staff. We weren't able to have you. We weren't able to have anybody work for us. Right. Cause that's more expense, but at least we were able to survive until this opened up again. You know what I'm saying? And even then it's kind of wishy-washy. It's like, what's going to happen? So my point of this all before, because I know we go on these, it's like, damn, that's all y'all talk about. I know, but it's what's happening right now. And it's so frustrating to somebody who's turning 40.
This was going on in her world.
It's going on in her world. Exactly. But on a lighter note, so that we can end this. Today was my second day with my trainer.
Nice.
I am super heavy because I feel my body, and it's just like frustrating. It's so frustrating. You have no idea. I posted this thing about like people who breastfeed. Some of them like breastfeed, you lose all this weight, and then also another Barbie. She was bigger.
Oh, I saw that. That was so funny.
And so it's funny because it's like, I think people think that I'm like calling myself fat, but it's like, no, I feel that. Like, I know what they're talking about. I know that I need to give my body some time. Like 2 months it's just been 2 months.
Yeah.
But it's my way of how I remind myself that you have to keep going. So it's like, I'm not trying to dog myself. I'm not trying to like bash myself. I just put things, literally guys, when I do a lot of stuff on my social media, it's mostly for me. And I know a lot of people post for an audience, but really I post for myself.
Dude, this is actually a subject I wanted to get into, and it's going to be perfect for the premium episode because it's literally, you hit it on the nose. I wanted to ask you about something, but yeah. Finish your thought.
So anyway, I'm excited to be back. I feel good being back. My abs are still sore from Friday. I cannot do a burpee. It's I literally fell to my knees, and I left it on my reel that I made because it was real. I tried to do a burpee and I just dropped to my knees and literally I said, I can't do this. So I had to do the step outs and step back in. And even that, that was a lot of work because of the surgery.
Sure.
And then I thought about it, and it's like your abs kind of, they separate whenever. So it's like, in addition to that cut, now I'm trying to fix these. I was just like, I was kind of disappointed in myself because I wanted to push myself. But even if I tried, I couldn't. Like, I really could not. Like, there's no muscle there. Like, it's done. But then I did the I did where you would push up and then bring your legs in, you know what I'm saying? Like to do a crunch or whatever. And so that was fine because obviously it's with the weights coming a different way versus you trying to hold yourself up. And I was doing it on a barbell. So it's not like I have flat hands where you have a little bit more of a controlled, I guess, type of burpee. This was like, I can't let the bar roll. I have to hold myself. And so it was like, I realized like I'm still very heavy. I'm still very tender. Like I'm not like 100%. But I'm very proud of myself of the fact that like I'm back at it. I was not back at it this soon with Penny. So
that's a plus.
I'm back at it immediately. I went back with Penny about 9 months after having her. So because I thought that I couldn't work out because of the milk supply thing. So when I posted those things on Patreon, like about what I had read, again, that post was a friendly reminder to myself when I go back and I type my entries for you girls. It's like my way of reminding myself of like, you can work out. There's a formula to it. So make it happen. So, you know what I mean?
Do you have a shirt or a phrase that's like, she can, she will?
Yeah, it's my athletic apparel. It's what she can, she will.
That's what I don't know why that came to mind, but I was like, yeah, I think you already have that. But that's like a perfect definition of what you're doing. Exactly.
And that's why it's my logo for my athletic apparel, because that's kind of how I feel. Like I used to always tell the ladies, and we'll end with this so that we can get started on the premium episode. But I used to always tell the ladies that I trained, and even in Zumba, especially heavier women, when they felt like, oh, I can't jump, it hurts my knees. So I would always tell them, only you know what your body can handle. So do as much as you can, but keep track of it. Keep track of like, oh, I remember when we would get to this song and it was this jump. I wasn't able to do but one jump. Now I'm able to do 2 jumps. It's like keeping track of that progress is like the best thing you can do, because it's like you'll finally start to notice like, oh shit, I remember I couldn't even survive this whole song during Zumba. Now I can survive the whole song. Now I'm going 2 songs before I have to take a break. You know what I'm saying? That's me. That's kind of how I keep track with Sean. To me, it's like, we never really do the same things, but they're kind of similar sometimes. And so I'll remember like, okay, for me right now, it's the burpee. I know that I couldn't do the burpee. Everything else that he's had me do, I'm able to do it, even though it's not heavy weight, but I'm able to do the movement, right? So for me right now, I know that the burpee is the one exercise so far in these last 2 sessions that I have not been able to do. So I know that my progress, when I'm able to do the burpee, I'm stronger now. And that means I've, my probably whatever's happening underneath everything is starting to kind of come together. So if you're on this fitness journey with me, find what you feel is difficult, whether it's the food, right? Because someone said, yeah, this looks cool. The menu looks cool, but I can't do this. Like, and I get it. And that's kind of what I wanted to have the Zoom meeting for.
Right.
Because I wanted you guys to understand that trying this is not going to work for you immediately. That's why I said you're going to have to do like the 80-20 rule, where it's like you eat I think it's easier for people to eat like that during the week because it's a routine. You wake up, you go to work, you come back, you make dinner, you go to bed, right? Versus on the weekends, it's like hang out with family, hang out with friends. So use the weekend if you want, you know what I'm saying, to do whatever you want to eat, but be conscious of it. And as you start to drop weight, you become more conscious of it to where you think about what you're going to put in your mouth.
And then you've changed your lifestyle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So on that being said, guys, thank you guys so much for listening. And if you're like entering your 40s or you're even older, or maybe there's some old souls out there.
Yeah, I would say I'm one of those old souls,
There's
honestly.
old souls out there.
Even if you're entering your 30s, you might be going through these same things.
And you might be thinking, because I just remember thinking, this is what I thought about this morning when I was taking a shower before, it's morning. I said to myself, I remember I was in the 5th grade and we got a graduation shirt that said class of 2000. I remember thinking the year 2000 sounded so futuristic, and I thought we were going to be driving around like the Jetsons in the year 2000. Can you believe that?
Thanks, Y2K.
Exactly. And I was like, now I have a shirt that needs to be made that doesn't get right with God, because that's how I feel. I don't think we're going to be driving around like the Jetsons anymore. I think now it's just like, get right, because holy mother, I can't take this anymore.
Dude, I got to tell you about this lady at Starbucks, but I'll leave it for the premium episode.
All right.
Craziest story.
All right. Can't wait to hear. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Talk to y'all next week.